we have some questions related to some technical requirements. So from your practical experience, since you have also been engaged with some European projects, we would like to ask you if you are using any flexibility in your operation, and if so, if you can provide such specific examples, and if not, if you could be interested to start using it.
Yes, so we are not using flexibility on a day-to-day operational level, but we do have 2 pilot projects related to flexibility. So the scope of, let's say, this pilot project is only 26 households, so it's not a lot. It's a village in here near our headquarters, and the concept there is a voltage regulation on usage points at end consumers. So basically, in Slovenia in general, some other distribution companies are using flexibility for congestion management of their medium voltage to low voltage transformers. We had a look at that also at our company. We found out that none of our 1,500 transformers are congested, let's say, so to say. But we do have some issues with the voltage problems, especially under voltages, and in some cases where there is a lot of solar photovoltaics, we have some over voltages, and yeah, that's a pilot project where we have implemented 3 batteries to keep the voltages, let's say, under 253 volts. But it's like most it was to develop these back-end systems, you know, related to flexibility, how this procurement process goes, how the activation signals are sent to the flexibility resources and stuff like that. In general, we see for the future that we will have to use more and more flexibility, especially with more and more heat pumps and electrical vehicles and solar power plants and stuff like that. So just to avoid investments in reinforcements of the grid, or basically maybe we can use flexibility, and it's a cheaper option for us as a DSO.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. So now we can move to the market compatibility requirements. The second question is related to the government policies. How do your government policies and regulations impact your organization's approach to flexibility? Do you think that, for example, some grid code modifications should be made? And if
yes,
so, towards which direction?
Okay, so currently in place is in Slovenia is if you use flexibility to a certain amount, you are reimbursed that amount that you pay for flexibility, so 100%. But we do know that the energy agency in Slovenia has been preparing new legislation, new regulation on just for flexibility. You know, all of these types of different flexibilities, it's indirect or direct, or and I forgot some of the specific terminology, but in essence, the legislation is being prepared, but we don't know when it's coming out and what exactly it will contain. But in general, even now, the utilization of flexibility is not a problem. The issue or the challenge perhaps is that the regulation in Slovenia currently, so that if you invest into a piece of network, a new line or a new transformer, you get the depreciation, the returns to you, and also some plus some interest, so plus 5% of that depreciation, and that's our income. And we are not stimulated to use flexibility because it's just you know, reimbursed without any additional fees on top of that. So it makes more sense for us to invest in the network because we get a better financial outcome.
Correct. So this comes to our next question. So what type of financial incentives or financing schemes would you consider to be most effective in promoting the adoption of these technologies in your organization?
So, well, it depends, right? Who are targeted with the financial incentives? Are it just DSOs, or is it also end consumers, maybe aggregators? So for us, it would make sense that this would be on the same level. So a classical investment into the network versus the use of flexibility for the same purpose, for example, to keep the voltages in the specified limits, or to manage congestions, so that it would be financially the same. Right now, at the moment, is classical investments are financially better for the company. So you can, maybe reduce some of these financial incentives on the investment part, and maybe grant some more financial incentives on the flexibility part. That would be perhaps one possibility.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And with respect to the consumer acceptance, do you consider that there is a lack of a specific regulatory framework for the integration of such flexibility technologies into some operational field devices? For example, in SINNOGENES as a project, we have the involvement of several technologies such as demand response, pumping storage, thermal storage, battery, and EVs, either by batteries or by hydrogen. So could this lack of a specific framework, do you consider to be a really barrier that we need to develop, let's say, specific regulatory frameworks towards this direction, so that they can be more easily adopted, for example, for consumers and so on?
I think this is maybe one of the barriers, but not necessarily the most significant one. So I think the biggest barrier is lack of a good economic model for the end consumer, or at least, if you have a flexibility resource which you can use on different markets, there is lack of, let's say, regulatory environment on how this can be used. For example, if you use a battery for the TSO and you want to use it for the DSO at the same time, or this is not clear, at least at the moment in Slovenia. Or maybe also you can provide some services to retail companies on the energy markets. But yes, this, where does one use case end and another one begin is not very clear in Slovenia at the moment. So with this also related to the finances, you have to understand that somebody investing in a battery has to, provide some money for the investment, and if he doesn't have a clear income model, how that battery is going to be utilized, it's not very attractive, I would say then.
Correct. And what market needs or changes or trends do you think will affect the flexibility sector, and how is your organization getting ready to adjust to these changes? For example, if they provide some economic incentives for the residential consumers to have batteries, EVs, and so on.
I think the most important trend that we are following at the moment is just the price of components themselves. For example, batteries are getting cheaper. Some control devices for solar PVs are also getting cheaper, and it's getting more and more accessible. So these are the trends that we are following, and I think it will influence the flexibility sector quite a lot. And we are just our organization is keeping track on this, doing pilot projects, trying to do Horizon Europe projects and stuff like that, just so we are on top of things.
Great. And With respect to the market expansion, how do you envision the expansion of energy flexibility markets, both regionally in your country and in Europe in the upcoming years?
Yes, I think it will be more and more expanded, or how to say so, flexibility will be more and more present in both the level of distribution companies in Slovenia and also in Europe. Like I said, I think because of the more and more electrical vehicles, heat pumps, solar PVs, and like everything that's happening, just the electrification of the industrial sector and the traffic and everything. We will have to utilize flexibility more and more, because just placing new infrastructure into the environment and having the necessary investment resources to cope with all of these changes is not going to be enough. So flexibility will be, like an alternative, or it will be complementary to the investments to solve all of these challenges, let's say.
So do you expect, for example, that these technologies will have impact also in energy markets, prices and supply?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, I think we can see already now that in some cases, when there is a lot of solar production during the day, like during the summer, the prices of electricity drops on the markets, and it might make more sense to produce, I don't know, hydrogen in that cases, in those time frames, and other use cases as well. I think this is just still in very early stages, and these use cases and business models will develop, but it's for sure related to flexibility as well.
And the last question, what type of innovations or technological developments do you consider that are the most relevant for the development of flexibility of your organization? For example, would it be EVs or thermal storage or pumping storage?
Okay, so for pumping storage for us as a DSO, not so very much, because this is usually, at least in Slovenia, directly connected to the TSO level. And for us, flexibility services represent more, local requirements of, let's say, on the low voltage networks. So to be honest, we don't have any experience with thermal storage, or not a lot. So we don't know about that and what kind of technological developments are expected there. But we do expect significant developments on, let's say, vehicle-to-grid charging. There are not a lot of electric vehicles with these capabilities at the moment, and we do expect them to be a game changer in the future. Also, classical battery storage with lithium-ion technology, or maybe some new types of technology, maybe new materials, aluminium, magnesium, stuff like that, and hydrogen. Hydrogen is, I think, also very will be very impactful on the distribution grids in the future.